Hello, welcome to the Lloyd Dowson Budget Summary. The Chancellor's just sat down and we're about to summarise what he's just said. My name's Phil Thompson, I head up the tax department here and I'm joined with one of our chartered tax advisors, Josh Fox, to talk us through what did or maybe what didn't happen earlier on this afternoon. So good to be back. You know, we haven't done one of these for 18 months for one reason or another, as I'm sure we're all aware, so it's good to be back. And I think in reality, what we need to do, because there was very little done today, Josh, is probably have a bit of a recap what he did do back in March when we weren't allowed to do these things. So let's start back in March earlier on this year, what he did do.
Yeah, there was a couple of major announcements really. There was what's been labelled the super deduction, which was 130% tax relief for limited companies on brand new plant and machinery.
And it is brand new stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and we're actually seeing some of them come through the office already. So clients are taking advantage of this already.
Yeah, great.
And the corporation tax increase comes in from April 23, up to potentially 25%.
Which is big. It's a big one, isn't it?
It is a big jump, but it's for those companies that are making over £250,000 profit. So it's sort of penalising those who are making big bucks anyway, really.
It is. I mean, our take on these things is that everybody knew they had to pay something back. He kind of attacked limited companies rather than the individual man on the street. And therefore I don't think people minded. However, he started very, very low down of profits over 50,000, which impacts more people than I would have cared to do myself. You know, so 25% is a heck of an increase from 19% coming in April 23, as you say. So he'd already made provisions back in March, which are big, that are really going to help fill the gap. Which is something we need to watch out for. Super deduction, as I say, is to kind of counter that, but only in for the next year or two, so where to be taken advantage of. That was March, and even though we now seem to be back into two budgets when we were supposed to only have one, out of both of those budgets back in September, he introduces another increase, which is quite wide-reaching.
This affects everyone really. It was only a 1.25% increase on national insurance and dividends, but that affects employees, employers, people who are getting money out of their own limited companies. It's going to attract a lot of extra tax revenue, is that? But as you sort of said, rightly repaying some of the support that they've given out over the last 18 months or so.
Which undeniably was massive.
Yeah, and it was needed, but it was massive, and so it's now claiming it back, if you like.
And bringing the timeline on a little bit further, even as recent as this week, he announced that there are some changes to the national living wage. So again, extra cost for employers, which is going to kick in, taking up to £9.50 an hour, I think, as well. So whether that's good, bad or indifferent, it will impact an awful lot of businesses who have been struggling still. And we wonder why he did these things, because we were thinking he was spreading bad news until we get to today's budget, and we've eventually got there. But actually it was very, very positive, and both of our takes on this is because he's got rid of all the news earlier on in the year to keep this very, very positive. He didn't really do a lot of things that we thought he would do. He did introduce a couple of tax breaks along the way, but he remained very, very positive.
That was sort of the key message today, wasn't it? All positivity of, like you say, get the bad news out the way perhaps a month or so beforehand. So there literally wasn't a tax increase in this announcement because it was just positivity. And actually some of the relief he has offered, for example, the business rates, 50% discount for the hospitality sector, well, there was 100% relief during COVID anyway, and that was coming down, so it's not going to fall off the edge of the cliff and go back to where it was pre-COVID by offering this relief in there, really. Which
again will affect a lot of our clients in the hospitality and leisure and retail industry locally, which we always try and look for local angles on these things, which was a bit of a struggle, but it's that industry around here is huge, so it will help them as they go back to normality. He introduced another extension of 100% relief on buying bits of kit, vans, equipment, all that kind of stuff. It's always been around, and it was going to run out come December time, and it's in for another 15 months. But it's not great news in itself. It's just an extension that was already there, really, isn't it? So again, a little bit of a snippet there, really. I think part and parcel of what we saw really is what wasn't included in these things. You know, there's been lots of speculation. We've seen lots of solicitors churning work on potential capital gains tax rises, inheritance tax rises, which gets people really scared, and yet again it just wasn't there.
And like we discussed, some taxes are perhaps actually about levelling the playing field, which they haven't addressed for one reason or another. Perhaps there's a bigger picture and a bigger motive behind it to increase investment and the like. But
I think they intend on spending the way out of this thing, and I actually think that the take is that the capital gains tax, the corporation tax rates that are going up by that 6% will fill that black hole quite a lot. So maybe that's enough, because actually the times come with these things of what isn't included is kind of mentioning about going forward, really. Because going forward, everyone has for the last couple of years worried about these inheritance tax and capital gains tax increases, but they made a pledge towards the end of this budget that taxes perhaps were going to go down.
Yeah. So the next, this Parliament runs until May 2024, and he pledged that by then taxes will have decreased, not increased. So you would think another 6 months down the line, the announcements that are coming out, they can only really start to be positive, because he's going to have to announce these sort of tax reductions rather than increasing to then decrease at a future date, really.
So maybe the fear that we've all been sat in tax land of these increases going to get worse and worse, maybe it's the tide has turned, and maybe it's not going to get worse. So again, a bit more positivity that we can look forward and plan with a bit more certainty that things aren't going to change. But
no, absolutely.
As I say, there's not a great deal in there. But it was more what he didn't say, which is a good thing that everyone should take. Everyone needs to take advantage of tax planning for these big corporation tax rates, which we're working on already. Us and everybody else in the team are talking to clients about that, and we do need to work on that, because it is a heck of an increase and will affect a lot of our clients. But we've got some plans to help them get out of it. So I think in reality, looking forward, we can be positive. He's mentioned tax decreases in the next 2 or 3 years, which I'm sure everybody will welcome. I just pray that we get back to one budget a year, because 2 set of rules in a year is too many for everybody to cope with.
Yeah, I agree.
So you and I both included. So a summary of all what's gone on in the last year, really, and the budget itself wasn't an enormous change, but it did allude to better times ahead. So as usual, if you want to speak to any of us about these changes and how it impacts you and your business, please get in touch. The number will be on the screen, and Josh, I and the rest of the team would love to talk to you about it. So we'll see you soon. Thanks very much.